improving crime detection capabilities of the police. Crime intelligence capacity has also been strengthened at the top 30 crime-heavy police stations. The intelligence officers have also been supplied with adequate resources, including vehicles and other tools of trade to gather intelligence in these stations. SAPS units responsible for the investigation of organized crime have also been bolstered at both provincial and national levels to infiltrate criminal syndicates. The recruitment drive of thousands more police officers under Project 10,000 to boost police numbers at station in all provinces continues to gain momentum. The decrease in murder figures shows that the targeting of crime in hotspots must be maintained and further strengthened down. It is also through our intensified national policing approach to prevent and combat crime during the high-density Operation Shanela that we are beginning to break even and seeing decreases in certain crime categories. Operation Shanela, which is on its 6th month running, is effective and continues to be altered guided by crime patterns analysis. While the crime figures for July to September this year show an increase in conduct crime, the drop in sexual offences, trio crimes, contact-related and property-related crimes, as well as other serious crimes, is encouraging. The tracking and tracing of most wanted suspects has also been prioritized in conjunction with everyday policing at station level. Ladies and gentlemen, to date, Operation Shanela has resulted in the arrest of over 226,000 suspects, including some of the most wanted and dangerous criminals. Police will continue to hunt for the more persons of interest involved in organized crime. It is on this score that police stations must be further empowered and equipped to carry out weekly high-visibility operations. These include, among other strategies, frequent foot patrols for the prevention of these contact crimes in our communities. A sharp focus on police stations will mean all stations commanders are closely monitoring their unique crime situation and put in place relevant operational plans to curb crimes. We are sure this approach is the right one, and as we continue to diligently implement it, we will further improve safety and security in our communities. Despite the overall drop in the country's murder rate between July and September this year, 6,945 people were murdered in South Africa in 3 months. That's why we can't take comfort of the reduction. We can't say we have arrived. We can't say we have done all the best. These figures are too high. But the point we're making that almost since 2012, it's a first time where we had 2 quarters following one another where we have made some reduction on crime murder, especially murder. Out of the people killed during this reporting period, 881 were women and 293 were children. 35 police officers were killed on and off duty between July and September 2023, as well as 19 law enforcement officers attached on national, provincial, and local government, as well as private security. May I well pause here and really pay tribute and condolences to the members we have lost last 24 hours. We have lost 2 members on the line of duty, one in Tembisa and one in Mpangeni in KZN, and 2 have survived the shooting here in Pretoria, which means for the last 24 hours, 4 police have been attacked, which tells the story that indeed police are under attack. It remains encouraging that the KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo provinces reported double-digit percentage decreases in their murder rates. This is despite KZN experiencing numerous mass shootings, claiming 3 or more lives at a time. While the Umlazi and Dinanda police stations, which have previously reported the highest murders in the country, are still leading in this crime, they have reported decreases in murders during this reporting period. The Eastern and Northern Cape provinces also saw slight drops in incidents of murder during this period. This is despite that the Eastern Cape too has recorded multiple shooting incidents fueled by drug and vigilante-related motives. 5 provinces, namely Mpumalanga, Gauteng, Western Cape, Free State, and Northwest, recorded increase in murders. Maybe the decrease in both KZN and Limpopo is also assisted and enhanced by their tough approach in policing. Those are 2 provinces that are very tough when it comes to policing. And they are taking this challenge of toe-to-toe very serious. When you go to that province of KZN and that Limpopo, you will see that there is this tough kind of approach of policing. As was the case in previous quarters, the majority of people killed in South Africa are murdered during argument, misunderstanding, and provocation that usually takes place in social settings. Arguments, vigilantism, and robbery remains the top 3 causative factor for the murder in majority of the provinces. Firearms, knives, and sharp instruments are likely to be used as murder weapons. Firearms alone claimed the lives of 3,106 victims. Police have, between July to September 2023, removed 2,175 firearms off the street through police operations. On the eve of the 16th of activism against GBVF, the ministry is motivated by SAP's continued successes in bringing to book GBVF perpetrators. This includes the recent identification and takedown on 27 sexual predators in the country. In October, we saw sentencing of Mario Bosti, sentenced to 6,400 years in jail, found guilty of more than 1,000 charges of child pornography. It is clear attacks and violence meted on women, children, the elderly, and the most vulnerable in this country remains shameful. The scourge of violence against women and children in South Africa must be confronted equally by law enforcement, the whole of government, and the whole of society. That must be done head-on. The Police Ministry and Management has noted with extreme concern the recent brutal stabbing of the Western Cape University student in broad daylight. SAPS continues to upscale its responses to this form of crime through increased operations to trace the GBVF perpetrators, arrest serial offenders, as well as serial rapists. Our docket analysis shows that the arrest of serial sexual offenders is reducing incidents of sexual offenses. Sexual offenses have decreased by 35.9% between July and September this year. SAPS continue to collaborate with social partners to eradicate the scourge of GBVF and educate communities on the matter. As part of some of the crime prevention programs carried out by the police service, dialogues in various communities targeting men who are largely GBVF perpetrators are taking place. We support a similar continental program targeting men around the issue of GBVF. The African Men Conference hosted by African Union will take place in South Africa on the 27th to the 28th November 2023. The statistics show that less women and children were killed in South Africa between July and September 2023, decreasing by 10.9% and 7% respectively. However, and disturbingly, the crime figures show that far too many women and children in this country are not safe around people that they know and trust, and at times those that they love, and in the places where they are supposed to be safe. Between July and September 2023, 1,514 incidents of attempted murder involving female victims were reported. Furthermore, females were victims in 14,401 assault GBH incidents reported to the police during the reporting period. Children have not been spared from brutal attacks and abuse. 293 children were killed between July to September 2023. In the same period, 361 incidents of attempted murder and 1,820 of GBH were perpetrated against children. 10,516 rape incidents were reported to the SAPS between July to September this year. Out of this, 4,726 rape incidents took place at their homes where they were raped by the victims they know and at the place they know. In an effort to ensure that police stations deliver victim-centered services to victims of sexual violence, as the ministry, we are motivated by the continued availability evidence collection kits, or so-called rape kits, as well as improvement of support service at stations for survivors of sexual violence. The historic DNA backlog, which was standing over 241,000 2 years ago, has now been completely cleared. SAPS forensic laboratories across the country continue to work optimal, and relevant contracts crucial for the functioning of labs are in place. The consumables essential for the processing of the sample continue to be procured. These policy interventions are coupled with functioning of GBVF desk at police stations countrywide. These desks are staffed with officers trained in GBVF-related causes, as well as victim empowerment, domestic violence, and sexual offences-related programs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not coincidental that all property-related crimes, such as burglaries and people's home and business premises, theft of motor vehicles, recorded a reasonable decline. Stock theft crimes are also on decline after recording a 5.5 decrease during this reporting period. On this note, SAPS Rural Safety Strategy continues to function, and we are satisfied with the methodology of crime statistics gathered for the farming community. Crimes that instill fear among the people of this country have also declined. These include trio crimes such as car hijacking and property robberies. However, it does remain concerning that robberies at the people's homes are still on the increase. It is indeed, Commissioner, in this regard, your management team must zone in on the crime trend and put necessary intervention on these matters. This must include regular police patrols and working closer with the private security sector and communities at large. These statistics give us a sober analysis of the effectiveness of policing efforts to keep South Africans and their properties safe. These numbers are also used to redirect resources to where they are needed most in order to better respond to common enemy, which is crime. This redirection of resources I am referring to is greatly demonstrated through the decline in certain crimes categories in the top 4 crimes heavy provinces, namely KZN, Western Cape, Gauteng, and Eastern Cape. On this one, we'd like to congratulate Limpopo and KZN for doing well in the reduction, especially in this reporting period. These provinces have collectively reduced many of these contact crimes, including trio crimes, robberies, sexual assault, and assault during this reporting. What is clear and should never be ignored is that the crime figures should and must serve as a call of action for government, business, NGOs, civil society, and communities to come on board in fight against crime. We are confident that the unprecedented 70 million rand funding for the community policing fora across the country will go a long way in further boosting community policing efforts. We are always appreciative of community members who work hand in glove with the police to confront crime. Lastly, as we heading closer to the festive season, this ministry and SAPS management wish you all the peaceful and much needed rest. Know and trust that SAPS and all law enforcement agencies will be out in full force to maintain law and order. All police officers, police reservists, including office-bound members, will be roped in to assist in festive season policing operations. This force multiplier is over and above the 10,000 more police officers who will graduate on the 15th of December from police colleges and commence their services when they are unleashed to the nation out there. SAPS has employed a huge number of police reservists permanently in the service in the past 2 years, hence the figures of the current reservists has declined. The training of reservists will continue after the completion of the targeted project 10,000 over the medium term. It is on the score that we want to give firm warning to criminals and those who plan to conduct themselves outside the law. Police are under strict instruction to squeeze out criminality and all manisification. Ingalo yomthetho yinde futhi ayikhethi ibala lamuntu. The arm of the law will not be selective, nor will it be kind. The South African Police Service will not negotiate with criminals, and we shall not negotiate any form of criminality. Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the crime register will just guide us through the figures. Will guide us through the figures.
Thank you, Minister of Police, and the colleagues on the platform, including the media. Like the Minister has given an overview of the crime statistics that we will be presenting, covering the period from the 1st of July up to the 30th of September. This is an overview of the crimes that have been reported to the South African Police Service in the current quarter. We have a reduction of the murders of 59, a reduction of sexual offences of 193, an increase in attempted murders of 756, an increase in terms of assault GBH of 1,046, an increase in common assault of 959, an increase in common robberies of 443, robbery with aggravating circumstances increased by 439, and the total of the contact crimes increased by 3,391. Now, the breakdown of the sexual offences, we have decreases in rapes of 74, decrease in terms of sexual assault of 48, an increase in attempted sexual offences of 23, a decrease of contact sexual offences of 94, then the subcategories of robberies with aggravating circumstances led by carjacking, we have a decrease of 140 in terms of carjacking, an increase of 220 of robberies at residential premises. Then we have a decrease of 384 of robberies at non-residential premises, and the total of the trio crimes decreased by 304. Robberies of cash in transit increased by 8. We had 64 cash in transit robberies that had been reported to the police in the current quarter, from 56 in the previous comparable quarter to 64, resulting in 8 counts more. Then the bank robberies, we did not have any bank robberies in this current quarter. However, in the previous comparable quarter, we had 3, then this resulted in a reduction of 3. Truck hijacking decreased by 19 counts. Then this slide is just geared to indicate the per capita crimes using the population estimates as obtained from Stats SA. We have the murders per capita at 11 per 100,000, rapes 17 per 100,000, attempted murder 11 per 100,000, assault GBH 69 per 100,000, common assaults 74 per 100,000, and common robberies 20 per 100,000. And the color code indicates whether it was an increase or a decrease from the previous per capita computations. Then continuing on this table, we have a clean sweep in terms of the contact-related crimes, whereby the 2 crimes making up this broad category both decreased: arson by 77 and malicious damage to property by 413, and the total of the contact crimes decreased by 490. Property-related crimes, we had a decrease in terms of burglary at non-residential premises of 821, burglary at residential premises of 2,399 decrease, theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle, a decrease of 351, then theft out of motor vehicle, an increase of 58, and then stock theft, we realized a reduction of 407. The property-related crime broad category decreased by 3,920. Other serious crimes, we realized a decrease in all theft not mentioned elsewhere of 2,944. We had increases in terms of commercial crimes and shoplifting of 1,114 and 727 respectively. Then the 17 community reported crimes decreased by 2,122. Crime detected as a result of police action, we had a reduction. We had a decrease in terms of illegal possession of firearms of 63. However, we managed to retrieve more drugs and driving under the influence of liquor and alcohol offenders, whereby we increased these 2 crimes by 3,605 and the other driving under by 3,366. Sexual offenses detected as a result of police action increased by 427, and the total of crime detected as a result of police action increased by 7,335. I will select the slides that I will talk to because the Minister has already talked to much of these issues. I will go into the causative factors that have been detected from the sample sizes that we have drawn for murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. For murder, we used a sample size of 6,786, whereby we tried to look into the causative factors of the various crimes, looking at murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. Most of the murders has been as a result of arguments, which can be observed there, whereby it was attributed to 1,053 murders, vigilantism or mob justice, 428 murders, robberies, 420 murders, gang-related, 280 murders, and the bulk of these 280 murders were those that were committed in the province of the Western Cape. Retaliation and revenge, 235 murders. Then we also had 50 murders that were attributable to tax-related incidents. The Minister also spoke to law enforcement and security guards who were killed in the line of duty, whereby 19 of these officers were killed in this current quarter, and also we had 12 incidents of illicit mining that resulted in a person being killed. Then we then look at the places of occurrence in terms of the murders, attempted murder, and assault GBH. Most of the murders had taken place at the public place, street recreational facilities, whereby 3,372 were indicated to have taken place in such places. Residents of the perpetrators recorded 1,774 murders. Mode of transport, that is in a bus, car, or boat, or ship, or taxi, 287. Liquor outlets, 262 murders that had taken place at places where alcohol is being sold. We had 102 murders that had taken place at spaza shops, and we had 76 murders that had taken place at business premises, which includes malls, restaurants, workplaces, etc. 10 of the murders happened at educational institutions, which include universities, colleges, and daycare centers. The minister had talked to the selected crimes on women and children. He indicated that there were a reduction in murders of women by 108, an increase in attempted murders of women by 237, 700 more assault GBH cases for women, and then for children, that is both boys and girls between the ages of 0 and 17, a reduction of 22 murders, attempted murders increased by 67, and assault GBH decreased by 75. Then in this slide, we just simply show the per capita murder for the respective provinces, and we used the mid-year population estimates that had been obtained from Stats SA, whereby we then divided the total number of murders that had been reported in the particular province, and then the color coding simply indicates the highness or the lowness of the per capita murder. You can see that the lighter color for Limpopo, which indicates that it is the lowest province per capita in terms of the murders, whereby we have 4 murders per 100,000, and the deepest color, which is the Eastern Cape, it has indicated that is the highest with 20 murders per 100,000. So the colors are degraded in terms of the numbers of the murders that have been reported within those particular provinces. Then the top 30 stations, I'll just talk to maybe just explain this. On the first column is the position of the station at the national level, and then in the second column is the station's position within the province. I will only focus on those stations that are top within their respective provinces. You can see that we have number 1 in terms of murders is Delft, which is both number 1 at the national and also number 1 within the Western Cape province. Umlazi is the highest contributing station within the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and it is number 2 at the national. Then we have GP at number 7. It is the highest contributing station within the province of Gauteng in terms of the murders. And then we also have Umtata at number 8, which is the highest contributing station within the Eastern Cape province. In total, the Western Cape contributed 12 stations to the top 30 murder stations. KwaZulu-Natal contributed 7, Gauteng contributed 6, and the Eastern Cape contributed 5. Then I don't need to repeat this slide because it has been explained in the previous slides. For this one, we just show the provincial distribution of the causative factors that had been indicated as what caused the murders by province. Then also this one I'll skip. Then we also had instances whereby we have recorded multiple murders, as it has been indicated. We had 7 murders that had taken place, which were possible drug-related, that had taken place in KwaNobuhle. We also had 7 victims that succumbed to gunshots in Cleveland's Hostel, that is in KwaZulu-Natal, in Umlazi. This case also resulted in 2 cases of attempted murders. We had 6 murders in Den Hauser, which were vigilante-related, whereby 6 men were killed and 9 others were seriously injured by a vigilante group called Abaqondisi, known to fight crime, and this incident also resulted in 9 attempted murders. We also had 6 victims that were shot and killed at a tavern in Davidton. The next slide simply shows the incidents where there were 5 victims, so I will not go into the details of that. Then the weapon of choice in the commission of the murders. we see that there were 3,106 firearms that were people that were killed with firearms. And then the second weapon of choice that was used was knives, whereby 983 people were killed with knives. And then we also had sub-instruments which were used in 564 murders, and 213 murders were committed with blunt instruments. Then coming to the murders of police officers, we had 35 police officers that were killed in the current quarter, whereby in the previous quarter we had 23 police officers that were killed, and this resulted in 12 more police officers that were killed in the current quarter. Of these 35 officers that were killed, 23 were killed while they were off duty, and 12 were killed while they were on duty. Now, if you take into consideration the 19 law enforcement officers that were killed, then this brings the total number of law enforcement officers, which includes the police, to a number of 54, meaning that there were 54 law enforcement officers, which includes police, that were killed in the current quarter. We also looked at the attacks on the rural communities. These attacks on rural communities are extracted from meetings that are held on a monthly basis between members of the SAPS and the farming community, whereby they review all the cases that have taken place within the rural community and see whether they meet the definition of farm attacks, etc. So members of the AfriForum and other unions do form sometimes part of these meetings. We have observed that for the AfriForum, they have released their statistics which indicate that there were 13 murders that had been reported in the current quarter, even though the SAPS indicates that for what we have verified, there were only 10 murders. And again, the other discrepancy that might be brought into this issue was the issue that the other unions or other role players have different definitions from the ones that are being used by the SAPS. So we have reported 10 murders. Then sexual offenses, we had a reduction of 6 in terms of the murders, a reduction of 2 in sexual offenses, a reduction of 14 in attempted murders, assault GBH, an increase of 2, common assault, a decrease of 2, robbery aggravating, 22, and contact crimes for attacks on rural communities decreased by 44. The rest of the numbers can be observed from the table. Then we also looked in terms of who are the people that were killed in these farm attacks. From the docket analysis that was conducted, the 10 people that were killed during this period at the farming community, 1 was an employee that was in the Northwest, 5 were farmers. Of these farmers, 2 was in the Free State, 1 was in Mpumalanga, and 2 was in the Northwest. 4 of the victims were farm dwellers, 1 in each in the Eastern, in the Free State, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and the Western Cape. That makes up the 10 people that met the definition of the farm murders. Then we had only 3 provinces that recorded decreases in terms of the rapes. That is your Gauteng, which recorded a decrease of 167 rapes. The Western Cape recorded a decrease of 73 rapes. And then the Eastern Cape had a decrease of 11 rapes. In total, the rape figures that had been reported to the police had reduced by 74. Then the top 30 stations in terms of the rapes, I'll speak to the top 5. They are led by Inanda at number 1, Thohoyandou number 2, Umlazi number 3, Lusikisiki number 4, and Umtata at number 5. Those make up your top 5 rape stations. Then we looked at the per capita rapes, and then again the provinces that are lightly colored are the ones which has least per capita rapes. With those are your Gauteng with 13 per 100,000 and Mpumalanga per 100,000, and the top are the Free State and Eastern Cape, which recorded 24 per 100,000 and 25 per 100,000, and the table on the side indicates the population per particular province. Then what we looked at in this instance was the places of occurrence of the rapes. We see that most of the rapes happened at the residences of the perpetrator, whereby we had 4,726 rapes having taken place at the residence of the perpetrator, and also public places we had 1,759. We also had 76 rapes that had taken place at educational institutions. Then this slide indicates the use and abuse of alcohol and drugs in the commission of various crimes. We see that for attempted murder, rape, and assault GBH, we had 6,184 instances where alcohol was used, and 227 where drugs were used. And then at the bottom there, we had confirmed incidents that had taken place at the place where alcohol is being sold. 262 murders, 380 attempted murders, 56 rapes, and 4,108 assault GBH. Then this is the breakdown in terms of the murders and the rapes. Then we also looked at the victims of those murders that happened at a tertiary institution. One perpetrator was a learner and the victim was unspecified. Those that happened at schools, 5 perpetrators were learners and 5 victims were learners. And at special schools, the 2 victims were employees, and then also was the perpetrators. Then we then looked at the educational premises. We had the rapes. We had 59 rapes that had been reported, whereby 46 of the perpetrators were learners and 46 victims were learners. Then we also had daycare, whereby we had 1 perpetrator was a learner and also the victim was a learner. Then the GBH, which is domestic violence related, we had 207 incidents of domestic violence, whereby 106 of the victims were murdered, who were female, and 101 were male. Then the rest we can observe there. These are simply the robbery with aggravating circumstances. What we have observed is that most of the cars that are hijacked are sedans, coupes, which were hijacked in 2,841 incidents. Then the robberies at residential premises, 3 provinces recorded decreases. Then we had cash in transit. We indicated that we had 8 more counts of cash in transit robberies, and these are the circumstances that happened when those cash in transit robberies were committed. Then I'll go to the core diversions. We had incidents that was 1,406 that required the intervention of police, which were termed to be peaceful, and 598 of these were termed as unrest, and this is the breakdown. Then this is a comparison of the national and the provincial comparison. And then this is the stations which had recorded the highest number of increases in terms of the crimes. We are seeing that I think it's the first 4 had 14 cases that were increasing, or 14 crimes, that is Katlehong North, Langa, Sulawesi, and Kels River, that had reported the highest number of cases, that crimes that had been on the increase. Just to end, this is the link whereby all these presentations and the drop-down menus and the full presentation of the stats can be accessed from the SAPS website. With those few words, I think that is the last of my slides.
Thank you very much, Major General Sekhukhune, for that very thorough presentation. A breakdown really of the figures that we have released today, remembering that it is crime statistics that of crimes reported to the police service from July to September of this year. So with that, let me open up the floor to some questions. And I just want to also just highlight the fact that we have sent out the Minister's opening remarks, and the full presentation that General Sekhukhune has gone through is going to be available on our website, that is www.saps.gov.za. So, with a show of hands, please can you identify who you are, which media house you represent, and who you're directing your question to. Okay, I don't see any hands. All right, ENCA, okay. All right, Hloni, you'll start, and then you, my sister, and then we'll take the first 4 questions, then we'll open up for the second round. Go ahead, ENCA.
Thanks. Hloni Msinkulu from ENCA. My question is around the murder versus the attempted murder. I appreciate that there's been a consecutive drop in the murder rate by 0.8%, and then last quarter was 3.1%. But when you look at the attempted murder, that's up by 12.3%. So how much comfort does it really give the ministry, the department officials that those attempted murders could very well have been murders if saved for whatever? And then, so basically, has it really decreased when the attempted murders are at 12.3%? And then maybe just a little bit more on the sexual offences, because I think I saw that some of it has decreased, and then the sexual offences, I think there was a 5.9% decrease. But just a little bit more, please, on those figures and what that covers.
All right, thank you, ENCA. Go ahead.
Zola Sharon from Newsroom Africa. This one is directed to the Minister. We saw the stats reflecting that there's been a decrease in crime stats, murder to be specific, but there's been a spate of violent crimes, Minister. You even mentioned the most recent one, which is the CPUT student that was murdered. Now, I want to understand, how do we then deal with such situations? How are you planning to address those? I mean, we've seen the stats, but what we're seeing on the ground is not a reflection of what has been presented. And then the second one, there's also been a shortage of detectives. How are you planning on addressing that, or possibly coming with a solution to that one?
All right, my brother in the black top. Are you still going for that question? No. All right, let me just see if there's one more hand. Okay, we'll take those questions, Minister and Generals and DM.
Hloni, how much comfort is zero comfort? Is zero comfort that women are still subject and human beings are still subject of the violent crime that is meted by other human beings to them. We fully agree with you that attempted murder is when you are using the maximum violence or intention of using maximum violence to that particular person. The question of dealing with those figures, them decreasing and otherwise, it could be just not only the question of law enforcement, but society as a whole. I'm sure you did see the figures that while many people die out there, there are still many that they die in their own houses, in the hands of the people that they're supposed to be protecting. People that will be dying in their houses by friends, neighbors, and all that. So it's not just fighting the murder, but it will be also fighting the attempted murder and the GBV and GBH, where people are harmed by other people. hence the statement that we made that it doesn't give us comfort, even the decrease of the murder in these small figures. One person dead is too many. But what we're highlighting here is that, maybe let me repeat, since 2012 is the first time last quarter where we have seen figures going a little bit down. Is the second, this one. While is a green shoot, we are very much aware that these figures are too high for people to be dying in South Africa. And that's why we'll continue to use what we believe is working with the communities, working with other stakeholders and partners in dealing with the crime. So that would be the answer on this decrease of murder, which does not really give us comfort, as I've said. Zola, the crime that is violent is here in South Africa. Yes, less people, as we see here, are dead, but violence has not been reduced. But the other thing that I have been requesting, especially with the media, is that when these high-profile cases happen, there is a maximum reporting, which is correct. But when some of them are solved and resolved, you don't find the same enthusiasm and zeal in dealing with the issue of them being reduced. My major case here would be KwaMhlabi Alingana. You see, KwaMhlabi Alingana, media literally camped there when the Judas Mthethwa was killed as an activist there. Literally camped there. But for the fact that the people there can sleep with their doors open now, 147 people have been arrested there, including those that killed Judah Mthethwa. That does not come prominently as the happening of the murder when it was reported, which then leaves South Africans as if these crimes are not solved. Let me take another case that happened in Jablani. In Jablani, the nation was up in arms, especially Soweto people, when there was a attack in Jablani Mall in front of the police station. Those people took over and did all that. But I haven't seen much reporting that 7 of those people have been arrested, and they're in custody, and they're court going. So that's a report. That follow-up of reporting on these things is not as enthusiastic as the initial arrest. But the question of violence, Zola, again, it cannot be the law enforcement alone. If you see people that are raped in their houses, if you see people that are murdered there, if you see people that are murdered by the people that they know, we have a problem with the mentality or mental approach of South Africans. If you see the student did not happen alone with this such a high report brutality. What happened in the mine? Where have you seen a person killing a person and taking a selfie with a dead body and all those kind of things? So really, we need to do much more as a society. Maybe, let me repeat it. The document produced by the cabinet, which is a strategy to fight on an integrated way, where other departments and the society is invited to make the contribution in fighting crime, especially violent crime, will be for all of us. Yes, we'll arrest them, but you arrest them when they've been violent. You can't measure that human being as create the crime, how violent it will be. Ours is to arrest. But the whole society, all partners, NGOs, churches, parents, families, all, we must make a call on this fighting crime, especially crime against women, crime against children, and crime against elderly. So we will forever continue to make sure that that is done. The question of detectives, yes, the figure has decreased. That is why there are two reasons. People would just reach time of leaving the organization and go. But what has not been happening is that we have not been recruiting enough young officers to recruit from them to come and replace those that are gone. This 10,000 last year, this year, next year helps that other units are then replaced as those individuals leave. But because the detectives, while they are education-based and study-based, but they are more of experience-based, they've been invited back, those that they've honorarily left the organization in honored way, who were not fired, who did not do anything wrong, they are invited back. I can tell you, we have the stack and a very long list of applications coming back. We believe that as we recapacitate the police and putting more capabilities, this is one area where we really put a good capabilities. Thanks.
Okay, colleagues, let me just check with General Masamela. You wouldn't want to add in anything? I'm sorry?
He answered.
Wonderful. All right, colleagues, in the absence of any more hands, I'm going to have to close the session. Once again, thank you so much. Yes?
So we do have questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Takalani, go ahead.
Thank you, Lorraine. We have a question from Angelo, who is representing CGTN. And the question is, to what do you ascribe the increase in CIT activity, and what kind of success have you had against the perpetrators? And there's Sane Dlamini from the Polity, and Minister, the Western Cape government has said that you have failed its province, as there has been no interest in the devolution of policing powers to the Western Cape, and is asking your comment on that matter, and which strategies were used to reduce crime related to the farm attacks. And Marvin Adams, who is a freelance journalist, and the question is, with organized crime syndicates continuing to pose a major threat, what steps is SAPS taking to improve its capacity and capabilities to disrupt and dismantle these criminal networks? And are you looking at any new technologies, training programs, or interagency collaborations that could enhance the effectiveness of police operations against organized crimes? And Marvin Adams again, what are the top 3 causative factors for murder according to the statistics, and what trends were highlighted regarding violence against women and children? And what warning does the minister give to criminals ahead of the festive season, and how many additional police officers will be available over this period? And Marvin Charles from News 24, there have been concerns raised by the City of Cape Town and the Western Cape government about the draft national policing policy, and the city and province fear the policy puts the good work of Metro Police under threat, and the curtailing their powers would be catastrophic. And what is your response to this and to their concerns? Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Takalani. So my calculations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 7 questions, Minister and Generals.
I will answer 2, and the National Commissioner come with a basket of answers. Devolution of powers. I will answer that one because it's politics. Devolution of powers has got nothing to do with Cele. is like nothing to do with Cele when it comes to signing the provincial capabilities of policing. That is a work of the Minister of Justice. Devolution of powers is in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. It's not even legislated. It's in the Constitution. I have spoken to the leadership of the Western Cape, especially the Premier, the MEC, and gentleman called J.P. Smith, to say, stop crying on the wrong funeral. Them calling powers from Cele, they are crying on the wrong funeral. Where they are supposed to go is to talk on the devolution and dealing with the Constitution. And there is a Minister of Constitution in the country. That is Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development and Correctional Service. You go there, and that matter is dealt there. Before that, we were working together. Fortunately, was it Tuesday, where we were together with the Premier. We were sitting together with the Premier, sitting together with the MEC. No, that time, that day, they did not raise the matter. They did not raise the matter at all of the devolution. We were sitting, it was really very nice. We were singing praises for one another. They also sang my own praises. What has been happening? Western Cape has been given extra resources more than any other province in the Republic of South Africa. That is the first province to receive what is called anti-gang unit. It was launched by the president in that province. They were the first to experience that kind of capability. Secondly, that was the only province that had what was called Operation Thunder until May this year. That means every 3 months we'll exchange and send about 200 police coming from different provinces together with the cars. And because they don't come from that province, we'll keep them in the hotels, which will make us pay exorbitant prices for those accommodation for them. That is second. Thirdly, in 2019, when we were still training before COVID, in South Africa we trained 5,000 police, and 1,200 went to Western Cape, and the whole country shared 3,800. Then last year we trained 10,000. They received 1,100. This year we trained 10,000. They are receiving a big chunk more than anybody. They are receiving 2,600. We are working together with the Western Cape. We have explained to Western Cape that for now, whenever they want this thing changed, they must go where I said they must go to the constitutional processes, not to Cele. But for now, we'll continue to work with them. We are resting, and they don't talk. The high flyers of the serious crime in this country, they've been arrested in Western Cape. And nobody talks about that. They don't say we want to do it for ourselves. We do as the South African Police Service. The other thing, there is a lot of cross-border crime, interprovincial crime there. People that do a lot of crime in Western Cape, you find them in this province, in Gauteng, you find them in KZN, you find them in Eastern Cape. So it is important that the bad eye view approach in dealing with crime in South Africa remains there to deal with that. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. If they want to go, I've explained, and I hope this question will come to an end, because looks like somebody has learned very well from Hitler or from Goebbels in that province to say, if you repeat it time and again, somebody will understand it somewhere. It has been raised, but besides that, we do talk about the issues that have been raised indeed we are exchanging on talking on these matters. I don't know why this question will be asked forever. On the question of the Metro Police is in the Constitution and legislated that it will work as a multiplier force together with the South African Police Service. And they will be working under the direction and command of the National Commissioner. But National Commissioner has given those powers to provincial commissioners. All provinces and all metros, they work with the South African police. In Western Cape, they did not want that metro to grow because they want to create their own law enforcement and they command it for themselves. Because if they are growing metropolis, all their operations will be signed and be worked together with the provincial commissioner. This is not what they want to see. For instance, they have not allowed their metro to grow. Their metro is 600 when they have got more than 1,500 law enforcement. When all other metros, they've allowed their forces metro to grow. The smallest one in the country is Durban, which is 2,000. So they grow those metros because they want to work in tandem, they want to work in conjunction with the national government on that. So this question has got much less to do with security and safety that we're dealing with, and so much to do with politics. And for me, that's not the day of politics today. It's a day of dealing with the safety of people. As I've said, that the rest will be answered by National Commissioner.
On the question of the increase in CITs, CITs increase basically can be ascribed to this pure criminality and greed. And of course, to an extent, organized crime. You have seen areas where some members of the same companies transporting money, colluding with criminals. We have seen some of our own law enforcement agencies, example in Mpumalanga, where our members were also colluding with criminals to commit the CITs. So we have, I'm sure you have seen that we have overcome that. Currently, we are foiling quite a number of CITs, and there is a number of arrests that we have made in this environment. What strategies we use to reduce crime in your rural areas? We do not work alone in with regard to farming and rural areas. It is a collaboration between law enforcement and those communities that stays or work in farming areas. We do have rural safety committees that at provincial level and at district level liaise together, and also the sharing of resources. There are some areas where you find that there are CCTV cameras. Those committees assist us in monitoring those CCTV cameras and liaise with police. And through that, they do curb crime. We've seen recently the CIT in Hoedspruit where police raised alarm and the farmers came up to assist, and there was a number of CIT suspects that were shot and some apprehended. So it is a collaboration between law enforcement and the farming communities. I think there was a question on the issue around national organized crime. Yes. Strategies with regard to organized crime, we do have national policing strategy, which part of it entails what our organized crime approach. Both the detectives and the DPCI do investigate those cases of organized crime, and I think we are making inroads in various areas. We have seen recently in your ESCOM, there are people that both law enforcement and SARS were able to freeze their assets, and the investigation is still continuing in that regard. Also in CITs, we have seen, which is part of organized crime, a number of CITs that have been foiled of late, and we will continue making sure that our organized crime approach do yield results. We must admit we have not yet arrived where we want to be, but we think we are on the right track. Causative factors that relate to murders, the presentation given by General Sekhukhune earlier, the sample that he have done, we have seen out of the 6,000 plus cases, we have seen that 1,053 murder cases are as a result of arguments or provocation and or road rage. Of course, there are other cases that which relate to your, be it your gang or be it other motives. But in majority, you have seen arguments are the most. Vigilantism is there, but to a lesser extent. But majority of these matters is are caused through arguments. So it goes back again to say our people probably get provoked easily, or we should look at what is the cause of that, which might not necessarily be a police function to say, are we an angry nation, yes or no, or what causes this, that people get killed easily through road rage, which we have seen. And you also have seen in cases where when these provocations and arguments happens, some people volunteer to come forward to separate those that are fighting. But the very same people that are innocent and they want to make peace to separate people, they end up being victims of murder themselves. So it talks to more the nation that we are. We should look at changing some of the ways that the way we do things. Deployments over the festive season, yes, we have our different police units will be deployed in big numbers. Those that are working in offices this time of the year, we do send them out to deploy out there. How many? There are many. There are many. They are there. They will be visible in all areas, in your roadblocks, stop and searches, and as well as in those places where people will be going for either enjoyment or leisure. I thank you.
Thank you so much, General Masemola. Okay, it seems that there's another round here in Pretoria. Hloni, I'll start with you. Is another hand possibly? You'll forgive me, I can't really see very well. There's a huge light in front of me, so you'll have to raise your hand really high. Okay, it looks like it's just Hloni for now. Go ahead.
Thanks. Just a few more questions. In terms of, there's a slide that was presented around the police station. In terms of those hotspots, is there a way of knowing whether these are this is just violence because people are taking advantage, people are just an angry nation, I think that was alluded to just now. Is there just a way to make an idea, to have an idea of sort of us contributing to the violence around those top city police stations? And then just back to the 35.9% for the sexual offences. Is it possible that some of the decrease can be attributed to just people not trusting the police and just deciding not to report instead because they feel that if they report, nothing is going to happen, they've had bad experiences, they know people who've had bad experiences or anything like that? And then maybe just lastly, I understand that there's been a decrease in the murder and the sexual offences, but an increase in attempted murder, assault, GBH. common assault and other things. Would we say that we're winning the war, the fight against crime, or not?
All right. That is going to be the last question, ladies and gentlemen, unless you've got something else, Takalani. Is another question? Okay, Zala. Hold on.
Okay, I just need a comment from the Minister about the Agnes of Moses Tonto case, the lady who's been arrested for allegedly orchestrating the deaths of her relatives and her husband. I just need a comment.
Okay, Minister, over to you.
The arrest one is for the commissioner to comment, sir. Yebo babophayo mos. Amaphoyisa. Hloni, I want to start at the end. We have said if you have evidence of those people that don't report, give it to us. Because every time you talk about reduction, this question comes up of that people are not reporting. When they increase, they say everybody reports. So we would really love to work, if there is any organization that is working on those figures, to work with those to say, yes, here are no more reporting, and these are the numbers, or these are the people, and these are the areas. So far, we work with what is brought to us. Therefore, I cannot guarantee that everybody reports, but it will help us a lot if that information can be shared with whoever out there who have that information of those people, and so that they can also explain as we sit down with them to say why they have taken the route of not reporting. So that would be that open invitation to say, please work with us if you have any information on that one. These stations, again, Loni, this top 30. In the document that I spoke about, there is a pillar out of 6 pillars that talks of the environmental design. You know, these crimes you talk about, and we talk about them here, especially murder and violent crime, they are not in Constantia. They are not in Camps Bay. They are not in La Lucia. They are not in what this place, Bryston. They are not there. These murders, they are in Inanda. They are in a place called COVID-19. I don't know if you know that place. There is a place called COVID-19. There is a place called Sanitizer. There is a place called Lockdown in Cape Town. These murders are there. These murders are in Diepsloot. What do you find when you go to Constantia? They are green, roads are big, there are lights, there are cameras, roads, houses are numbered, streets are open. When anything happens there and you phone the police, they know that they are going to Kukemur Street, number 44. They know. But when you phone them in COVID-19, when you phone them from extension 1 in Diepsloot, you never tell them where to go. You say, what dying in Diepsloot, and say, where? Extension 1. Some of you have walked those places. I'm telling you, until next morning, you won't find that crime scene. There are no streets, there are no houses, there are no passages, there are no lights, there are no trees, there are no housing numbers. So if I say go to extension in Diepsloot, you don't know where to go. So we have said, and we are simply saying, help us improve environmental design. That will help us as the police to move quick. Yesterday, when I was speaking last night in Durban, I said, anybody who called provincial commissioner to a place called Ezimangweni, Enanda, will find the place next morning. But anybody who calls anybody a place called Durban North will find it in the next 15 minutes. They are almost similar distance. But to go there without lights, roads, and every other thing. So environmental design in South Africa is one major problem of this. All these stations, so you see, they'll be on this. If you go to your Delft, you go to your Nanda, you go to your Nyanga, even those places that would have been normally and originally built like Umlazi. There are few houses now than informal houses on those places. When you go there, every passage in Mjondolo, it doesn't matter where you go. That's that. So if you go to a hostel at Wamashu, there are few houses than Mjondolo Wamashu hostel. That's why everybody hides there, and it will be very difficult to find a person there. But we are improving. You asked the question. One thing that we have improved is that we have trained 13 and we are training 23 more pilots of the drones. And we have brought drones in the police. I'm not going to give you the number. But as we deal with crime, especially in those areas where there is no facilities of lights and roads, we are using them. They are really helping us. The technology is beginning to help us. But somebody somewhere must help us to improve this environmental design so that we are easy to move, we are easy to find, and we are easy to know what's going on in those communities. So the rest for me will be National Commissioner. Azophendula ukuthi babophe bani bembophelana.
On the case of the insurance matter, we did get a report from one of our officials who suspected this specific incident, and we tasked investigators to go into this case. And as a result, a number of cases were unearthed, which are quite suspicious. Most of the cases are still under investigation. Yes, we have made arrests, the lady have appeared, but the investigation is ongoing. We discovered it internally from one of our officials that did indicate that there is a problem, we suspect a problem here. That's how we uncovered it. But also we call upon the society that they be vigilant and be aware as to what is happening around you, whether are you insured, yes, no, and so that you always alert in terms of what is happening. But also the insurance companies, we call upon them also to alert people that they are dealing with their clients in terms of when such cases are happening. If there is any suspicion, report to the police so that we can investigate and see whether is there something fishy, or is it just a murder, or somebody just passed on as natural causes. So that we request the society and insurance company to assist us in that regard. But in this one, investigation is still continuing, and I'm sure you will follow what is happening at court. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, General. Colleagues, we are closing the press conference. I am aware that there are colleagues that would like to get Isingoni, which is fine. Just set up for us at the floor, and then we'll avail the Minister to speak to you. But with that, thank you so much for attending today's press conference, and hope you have a safe and relaxing weekend.
In order to keep communities safer. This includes the overhauling and strengthening of the management of the Crime Intelligence Division, drastically improving crime detection capabilities of the police. Crime intelligence capacity has also been strengthened at the top 30 crime-heavy police station. The intelligence officers have also been supplied with adequate resources, including vehicles and other tools of trade to gather intelligence in these stations. SAPS units responsible for the investigation of organized crime have also been bolstered at both provincial and national levels.